Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm going to show you how to crochet this hanging basket with flowers and vines on it. You can use it as a hanging decoration any way you'd like. If you've never crocheted before, take a look at my videos about how to do single crochet and how to crochet in the round. If you'd like the written version of this pattern, it's on my website. I'll leave the link in the description. So you're going to need double knit yarn in all of these colours shown. I've used 3 different shades of purple for my flowers. You'll need a 3mm crochet hook, a stitch marker, a yarn needle, some scissors and some stuffing. So we're going to start with the basket in beige, and round 1 we're going to make a magic ring and we're going to do 6 single crochet in the magic ring. So I'm going to do the first 3 rounds in real time just to show you the pattern of increasing, and then after that I'm going to leave the instructions on the screen for the rest of the increasing. So we just take that short tail out and put it by the side, and then we do our single crochet underneath both of those strands. So then we pull tight on that short tail to close the magic ring. And we put the marker in that last stitch we did. Now round 2 we're going to do an increase in every stitch. So an increase is 2 single crochet in 1 stitch. So we'll have 12 stitches at the end of this round. So we'll take the marker out and do our last increase. And then you can pull on that tail if it's become a bit loose at this point. Now we put the marker back in. And round 3 we're going to single crochet in the next stitch and then increase in the next stitch. We're going to do that 6 times, so we always do the part in brackets the number of times stated, and we'll have 18 stitches at the end of the round. So we're going to be increasing in multiples of 6 evenly. So I've left the instructions on the screen for rounds 4 to 7. You can pause the video and meet me back. So I've just done all those rounds. You can count your rounds like this. Now for round 8, we're going to work in the back loops only. So this is the back loop because it's furthest away from you. This is the front loop because it's closest to you. So we'll go into the back loops for every stitch of this round. And we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches and then increase in the next stitch. And we'll do that 6 times and we'll have 48 stitches. So I'll just show you the first set. And then you can pause the video and meet me back. And the reason we're working in the back loops is because it makes our crochet change shape and starts forming the sides. So I've just done that round and you can see that we've now got the sides starting to form. So for rounds 9 to 15, that's 7 rounds, we're going to single crochet in every stitch. So back to working through both loops and we're just maintaining 48 stitches. So don't fasten off at the end of round 15 and you can pause the video and meet me back. So now we're going to make the green lid, and this is very similar to what we've just done. So we start with 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42 and 48. So I will leave the instructions on the screen. You can pause the video and meet me back when you've made that piece. So you can count your rounds. There's the 7 rounds that we did. And then we put our hook back in. Now we're going to join that by doing a single crochet through both layers. So we're going to go into that next beige stitch and then we're going to find the stitch to the left of where we fastened off on the green, and we're going to single crochet through both layers. So then the next one, go into the next beige stitch and then ignore that chain one and go into the next green stitch and just single crochet. So we're going to do this to the halfway point and then we're going to stuff it. So you can pause the video and meet me back. Okay, so we're at the halfway point. We push those ends inside. Now we're going to stuff it. And then we put our hook back in and continue doing our single crochet through both layers. So you can see that I've now come to the end. I've got one more stitch remaining. So we're not going to fasten off. Now we're going to do our handles. So we're going to chain 50. So you can pause the video and do that. And then we're going to lay it flat and try and find the halfway point. It doesn't have to be exact. And we're going to slip stitch in that halfway point. And then we're going to cut the yarn and fasten off. Then we're going to find the halfway point on the opposite side in between those 2 points. And we'll pull up a loop of beige and chain 50 again. And then we lay it flat and find that halfway point and slip stitch in that stitch. and then cut the yarn, leaving a bit of a tail, and fasten off. So now those just cross over each other, and now we're going to thread these tails onto our needle and weave them through the middle, and then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and use the end of your needle to push the ends in. Now for these beige tails, I weave them into the back of those single crochet stitches and then through to the middle part. So for this end where we pulled up a loop, we just need to fasten off to secure that. So I go around a stitch and don't pull through all the way, and then leave a loop, go through that loop from behind and pull tight to make a knot, and then weave that end in. So now we're going to make the vines. So we start by making a slip knot, and we're going to make 6 vines, and it's all going to be in one piece. So we chain 38. And you can count them just to make sure. So count the V's. And we're going to be working in the second chain from the hook. And we're going to do a slip stitch in that first stitch. So push the hook in, yarn over, pull through, pull that loop through the loop on the hook, and that's a slip stitch. Then in the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through. Now we've got 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So that's a half double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that's 1. Now we go back into the same space and repeat that. And now we're going to do another slip stitch in the next stitch. So this is 1/2 of the first leaf. And now we're going to turn it round and we're going to work on the other side of the chain in these remaining loops. So we just find the first one and we're going to do the reverse of what we've just done. So we do a slip stitch, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet in that next stitch. It can be a bit fiddly when you're working in these remaining chain loops, so just make sure you're picking up the right ones. So another double crochet in that same stitch. Now a half double crochet in the next stitch. And single crochet in the next stitch. And then that last loop there, we're going to do a slip stitch. So that's right at the end. So now we need to work our way back to the chain. So we're going to work in the back loop. So we're going to do a slip stitch in the next 6 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that last one is just on the top there, so that's 6. So you can count them because you can see the remaining front loops, so that you know where the first one is to start counting. So now we're going to slip stitch in the next 8 chains, and the first chain after this first leaf is quite tight. So we need to make sure we're going into the right one. So it's just right at the base there, and it will be tight, but it's only going to be this one which is going to be tight. So if you're not sure, then you can count the chains that you've got left. So you can count just to make sure. So I counted from those back loops and then counted 8 after that. So each leaf is going to have 8 slip stitches in between it, and we're going to have 4 leaves on every vine. So now we're going to make the second leaf. So we're going to chain 6 and start in the second chain from the hook, and it's exactly the same as the first one. So we slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, two double crochet in the next stitch, and then slip stitch in the last stitch, and then we work on the other side of the chain. So we do a slip stitch in that first chain, two double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, and then a single crochet and a slip stitch in that last chain right at the top. And now exactly the same as before, we slip stitch in the back loop only of the next 6 stitches, we slip stitch in the next 8 chains. So you can see that chain that looks like it's stretched out a bit. We're going to be working in the one next to that. So each time you come to the second leaf onwards, look for that one that's stretched out, and don't work in that one but go into the next one. So then we just repeat that 2 more times for our third and fourth leaf. And then at the end, we'll have 8 chains remaining. So you just slip stitch in those 8 chains, and that's our first vine done. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so now we're going to make the second vine, and we're going to chain 44. And the reason we're chaining 44 is because we need 38 stitches for our second vine, and then we need 6 extra stitches for our space in between each vine. So we're just going to work exactly the same pattern. We're going to work our way back up from the bottom, and we're going to have 4 leaves on each vine with 8 slip stitches in between them. So then when we get to the top and we have those 6 chains, we're going to leave those unworked, and then we're going to do another chain 44. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. So I've come to the last section where I need to slip stitch in the next 8 chains. So now I've got 6 chains remaining that are going to be left unworked. And then we just repeat this. So we chain 44 and repeat all of the same instructions until we have 6 vines with 4 leaves on each. So you can pause the video and meet me back. So I've done all of my 6 vines now, and you can turn them around and rearrange them. So now I'm going to leave a tail for sewing. So I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm going to leave a tail which is about 4 times the length of the top of our vines, and cut the yarn and then fasten off. So now we're going to find the increase points, so the stitches where there's 2 next to each other, and you can see it's a hexagon. So we're going to sew the top of each vine. So first of all, we're going to use pins because that helps. So we're going to pin the top of each vine to each increase point. And that just keeps it in place. So now we're going to thread that long tail onto our needle. And we're going to pick up loops. You can take the pin out as you work each one, and then go through a loop on the vine and another loop on the main piece. And then we're going to not pull that through all the way and go through that loop from behind and pull tight to make a knot, and that fastens off. Now we're going to weave through the inside, and we'll just move that vine out of the way and come out where that increase point is. So we're not going to sew the chains on, we're just going to sew the top of the vine. So we do a couple of stitches on each and fasten off on each one, and just work your way around and repeat this for all of them. So you can pause the video and meet me back. So I've come to the last one now, so I'm just going to fasten off and weave my ends in. So now we're going to make the flowers. So round 1, I'm working in white for the middle of my flower, but you can use any colour you want. So we're going to do 6 single crochet in the magic ring. And then we're going to slip stitch in the first stitch. So we've still got 6 stitches. And then we're going to cut the yarn, leaving a short tail, and fasten off. Now we're going to pull up a loop of whatever colour you want your petals to be in that same stitch that we did the slip stitch in. So we just fold it a few inches from the end and pull up a loop. Then we're going to chain 1 and we're going to do 2 half double crochet in that same stitch. So yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and then another one in that same space. Then we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch in that same stitch, so at the base of those 2 half double crochet. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So chain 1, 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, slip stitch in the same stitch, and we're going to repeat that part in brackets until we have 6 petals. So you can pause the video and meet me back. So now I've done my 6 petals, and to finish I'm going to slip stitch in that first stitch, so at the base of that first petal. And then we're going to leave a tail long enough to sew it on at the back, cut the yarn and fasten off. So we're just going to weave those ends into the back of our stitches. And leave that long purple tail for sewing. So I made 4 flowers for the top, and I alternated between 3 different shades of purple. So we thread that tail onto our needle and we weave it through to the white section, because we're only going to sew the white section on, we're not going to sew the petals on. So we're going to find those back bumps and go through them. So there's going to be 6 in total, and we're going to find a loop on the green part and just keep lining it up and lifting it up to find the right place, and then through that back bump and then through another green loop. And we'll just do this all the way around. Then we're going to fasten off in the same way as before, cut the yarn and hide the end. So I've made 4 more flowers following the same pattern, just in different variations of colours, and I've sewn 1 onto 4 of the vines. So we just again pick up loops from the back bumps of round 1 of the flower, and then pick up loops on the chain section, so where we did those 8 slip stitches. So you can do as many flowers if you want. You could do 1 on every vine. So I sewed this first flower on between the 4th and the 3rd leaf, and then I sewed the other ones on in different positions along the vine. So there we have it, our hanging basket is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I'd love to see a photo of your hanging basket. You can share it with me by tagging me on Instagram at Laura_Wilson01. I also have an Etsy shop where I design and sell crochet patterns. If you'd like to check that out, I'll leave the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.